Good morning, Gilchrist. My name is Odell Richardson. I'm a 48-year-old author from Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm currently pushing or promoting my novel, The Long Way Home, The Testimony. I wanted to share with you guys the foundation of what that story is really based on. And what it's really based on is purpose. And in these times, we want to try to dig as deep as we can and soul search as much as we can to find some purpose in life. Purpose allows us to have peace in the midst of storms. Purpose allows us to have a lot of happiness, no matter what the circumstances are. So I wanted to speak about purpose. I grew up without most of my immediate family through tragic events. I lost my mom when she was just 24 years old, and I was 5 years old, 4 going on 5. A horrific car accident that my father was driving. And so I grew up without a mom, and all my friends had moms. But there was one thing I loved doing, and that was writing, sketching, doodling. It was a passion, right? So I always try to tell people, what was your passion? What is your passion? What do you love to do? What would you do for free, right? Because that is what we often turn into purpose. So at that time, facing the tragedies and the circumstances going on in the household, not so sure that what purpose was. We did not come up in the church, but we also had each other and we had love, but I didn't know what purpose was or what our purpose was as human beings. But I kept going with the passion. I kept going with my passion. I kept writing, sketching, doodling, trying to create my own comic books, things of that nature. And more tragedy would follow. But I always kept into my passion of creativity, not writing as much because I had trouble sitting still, but the tragedies also ultimately put me down the wrong path. But I always kept creating because of that original passion. And then ultimately, after a lot of grace and mercy was shown upon me, I was able to get back to creating on paper again as I did as a child. But now I knew what purpose was. I knew that my purpose was to be the best version of myself. And therefore, I had that passion to turn back to and was able to turn that into a purpose and then ultimately into a product. So what I talk about in these times with people a lot, whether it's inmates that are incarcerated or guys in the street or squeegee kids, I often tell them to try to find the thing that you're most passionate about, and there may lie what your purpose is. So purpose is usually the foundation that I start with, which will open the door for beautiful things like accountability, humility, humanity. So purpose is something that I always talk about. Even Oprah Winfrey said once, she says, if you don't know what your purpose is, you better locate it. That's the first thing you should get about the business of doing. Otherwise, you're just floating around in the world. And that's what I was doing, floating around in the world, not necessarily sure what to do with that passion because of the tragedies around me forced me to back burner it and then enter an unsavory lifestyle. But it was the purpose that was there, the passion that was there, and God's grace and mercy that allowed me to get back to it. And then I was grown enough to see that I can turn this passion into a purpose. So I go with these 5 components in a book I read from Bishop E. Bernard Jordan, The Laws of Thinking, right? And he talks about the 5 P's. And it always starts with peace, because I was able to get peace once I was able to realize what my purpose was. And then you have to execute. So there's peace, then there's purpose. Then, of course, you need passion. And of course, after a while, where we are now, because we do have the story in Hollywood, there's patience as you wait for the final steps, and then the prosperity. And then you may be able to share these messages on the largest platforms that glorify God before millions or before groups and larger groups of individuals. So remember the 5 P's: the purpose, the peace, the purpose, passion, patience, and prosperity. One not being very much important than the other, but you want to have that peace first, and then we want to locate purpose. Peace meaning that you understand that God is first, and you become peaceful whatever the circumstances are, right? And then once you do that, you have to locate, okay, now how will I best serve God? How will I best glorify God? And that usually comes from what your passion is that you can then convert into a purpose. So I just wanted to share those things with you guys. It's a time right now where you got a lot of people have time on their hands. A lot of people have a lot of time off of work, and hopefully you're not stressing too much about that. We all should pray for people who do need resources and that lost their jobs, all of those good things. But in the midst of that, make sure you try to do what I was able to train myself to do, which was find everything that is, the glass half full instead of the glass half empty, optimism instead of pessimism, and try to utilize this time you have, whether it's not, more time at home or more time alone, and try to find that thing we call purpose, that reason why you were here, which is going to give you the truest, fullest version of yourself. That's what you want to try to locate. And when you do that, it's going to be so much more peace and so much more fulfillment. And things of the world are just not going to seem as important as they once had. So that's my message for today, to try to encourage you guys about trying to locate purpose no matter what the circumstances are. So make sure you spend some time on that, and don't let the circumstances of life have you so, out of sync that you cannot take time for yourself to see, as we move on to 2021, where is my purpose? Have I located it? What is it? What is that thing that I'm going to use to leave behind a legacy to glorify God with? So that's my motivational message for today. I thank Gilchrist again. I appreciate you guys having me, and have a blessed day.